Lucky Caesar is a character that I created to write my stories, write poetry, to write everything that I want to under that name. And the reason why I chose Lucky Caesar was due to the fact that throughout my life, people have always said, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're lucky that this didn't happen, or you're lucky that that did happen." And throughout life in general, when things tend to go our way, people think, or they say that it's lucky. If you happen to let's say dodge a bullet, oh, you were lucky. If you happen to come into some money, oh, you were lucky. And it kind of stuck because I don't look at my life as anything having to do with luck. To me, everything that's happened in my life has happened because of the fact that some of it wasn't in my control, but a lot of it I've controlled it. And to me, and what I know luck to be, is what an opportunity meets preparation. And I know for a fact that a lot of the stuff that I've gone through, no one would be lucky enough to go through that, and no one would be wanted to be lucky enough to go through that. So I look at it like, what? Why not use that, and why not write under that moniker? And Lucky Caesar is who I was, it's who I am, and it's who I will continue to be. And when I write, that's the person that I assume, and that's the person that I become. When I used to write when I was young, it was more to escape my reality. And now when I write to kind of embrace my reality and to also look back, because I'm a firm believer that if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going. So Lucky Caesar is the one that brings that to life. When I sit down to write, when I sit down in front of my laptop, when I sit down with a pen and a piece of paper, I am no longer me. I'm Lucky Caesar. And I am now the author. I am now the person that's going to put my words into something that you can actually look at and read. That's who Lucky Caesar is. The story Lucky Me takes place from basically a year before I was born. Is where the story takes place, when my dad and my mom meet, and basically chronicles the next 18 years of my life. Within those 18 years, you get to see everything that I went through. You get to see it through my eyes. You get to live it through my stories. And growing up, it was difficult. And I know that regardless of where you come from, regardless of the situations that you've been in, you could be from Nebraska, you could be from Atlanta, from Florida, or like myself from the South Bronx. You're all going to experience hardships, and this story really, it depicts the hardships that I went through. It depicts my story, and the thing that I know is that my story can be echoed throughout the world, and there's so many like me that have gone through the same situations, and I just felt that it was important to put this together. The story takes place, as I mentioned, in the South Bronx in the 1980s, and when we look at the days and times, and when we look at the situations that were going on, we were talking about the onset of AIDS, we're talking about the crack epidemic at the very beginning stages. We're looking at homelessness. We're looking at, I can't even use the word poverty because it was below poverty. It was at the point where you didn't know where your next meal was going to come from. You didn't know where you were going to sleep that night. And growing up as a child, having to endure this, it kind of forced me to become a man, in a sense where, I had to adapt to my environment. I had to adapt to my surroundings. And the South Bronx back then was not the best place for a child to be raised. So it was difficult, Also taking into account the fact that it was just my dad and I. So when you look at the fact that you have a child and a single father who happens to be addicted to drugs, surrounded by all of this death, despair, it was definitely a formula for nothing but negative situations, and unfortunately, I saw a lot of those firsthand. And I was able to put all these thoughts and all these emotions within this book, and to be able to now let you read my story and live my life through my words. And that was the most important thing, because I wanted to make sure that it captures the South Bronx as it was back then. It wasn't uncommon for you to be walking down the street and literally step over a dead body and not think nothing of it. You might look down, and when you look down, you say, oh, wait a minute, do I know that person? No, I don't. And I keep going. No one talked about anything. No one said anything. But at the same time, as I discuss this, I also have to keep in mind that there was a lot of good. You know, the neighborhoods back then had a tight-knit feel. The fire hydrants, the salsa music blasting in the background, the older folks playing dominoes. So there was still a sense of community. There was still a sense of joy. And a lot of my childhood, I really enjoyed being a child, but the situations that I was thrust into forced me to become a man. So I don't want to say it was all negative, but for the most part it was. And growing up in that environment really made me who I am now. It's just, you know, it was 18 years of struggle, it was 18 years of pain, but it was 18 years that I can honestly say I made it, and I'm here to tell my story to you. It's my words, my life, my story for you.